it's late here. As is often the case, I try to jam-pack too many things into a small space. Yeah, so if you were here yesterday, I talked about this, but I'm trying to make it easier to search for the pre-recorded classes on the YouTube channel. So one thing I'm going to try to start doing is giving the class a name at the beginning of the week. So this class is called Sponsoring Growth. So I talked a little on that subject yesterday, and I was thinking about it this morning while I was vacuuming. I find vacuuming to be a very meditative activity. So yesterday I talked about how I was considering the origin of this of the word responsibility, and realizing I knew what re meant, I knew what able meant, but I was unclear of what this root word of sponse meant. So I looked that up, and the Latin root for that is to pledge, or one of the translations was to bind, and I thought that was very resonant with yoga, because yoga, the word yoga, often translated is to yoke or to bind or to our union. So so again, back to this root word spond. It's present in a lot of very common words that we would use. Correspondence, respond, despondent, and sponsor. So I'm thinking of this idea of sponsoring one's own growth, and in being a sponsor to one's own growth, binding oneself or pledging oneself to be in a constant exposure, or being open to growth in oneself. Something that kind of goes along with that is the acceptance, or the understanding that sometimes our intentions will have unintended consequences. So and that can be really scary and frustrating. And I think that's one thing that we can work on our mats, and a skill that might help us all off of the mat. So in this sponsorship of growth, in this binding ourselves to a mindset and a openness to growth, there also I think that is bound with a relationship of really not knowing where your intentions will lead you. And wow, isn't that scary? So I often say, the into the unknown when we go into our back bends, and that's a Frozen quote, but I do I do think that that's a good that's what we're all doing right now. We're moving into the unknown, and let's cultivate that self-sponsorship of growth as we move into the unknown. Okay, so what does that look like in our practice today? We'll find out. We are going to start in a cross-legged seated position, or any other seated position that feels supportive for your body this morning. So emphasis on the support. Do the actions to create a safe and comfortable space for your practice. I'm gonna move over here just because the framing. So maybe this means that you sit on a block or a blanket. Maybe this means that you take some other configuration of the legs. You could even sit on a chair at this moment. Once you have found your seat, invite yourself here. consider that you have already made the intention, set the intention to be on your mat and practice yoga. And now really genuinely invite yourself into this space. Arrive in your body. Notice all of those spaces where your body is touching the surfaces beneath you. Create a connection between your body and the earth by visualizing roots moving from your lower body downward. Like the roots of a tree, growing down, growing out. And as energy moves down into that state of, that experience of connection, of support, now begin to bolster a sense of rising, of drawing from the earth and growing tall. This might be accompanied by some movements. You might shrug the shoulders up towards the ears, actively lengthening the sides of the body. After doing that, you might loop the shoulder blades together behind the heart to actively open and lift the chest. Let the weight of the arms move downwards as the shoulder blades slide down the back side of the chest. Tilt the chin down and bring the chin parallel to the floor as you lengthen along the back of the neck and lift through the crown of the head. It might be that your head is leaning forward somewhat. You might draw back through the sides of the neck to more fully align the center of the head over the center of the heart, over the center of the pelvis. This central channel moving upward and downward, connecting you to the earth and rising up from it. If the eyes are not closed, close them. Notice any expression in the face, any areas of tension, a furrowed brow, a clenched jaw, a pursed lip. Whatever it is, wherever it is, take notice. And consider if there is some information to be understood from where we hold tension in the body, where we hold tension in the face. You may be expressing or emoting something that you're not even aware of. By coming to this recognition, by acknowledging where we are in this moment, only from there are we able to let go of what doesn't serve us and move forward. Start to notice breath, if you have not already. Breathe in and out through the nostrils. And if the nostrils are not a clear path today, if it's distracting or frustrating to attempt breath through the nostrils for whatever reason, simply breathe through the mouth. So sponsoring this growth state, there is a adaptability to that mentality. That I came in with this intention, but now I've gathered this new information that leads me to different action. If you'd like, engage in Ujjayi Pranayama, the triumphant uprising breath. doing so by drawing in a gentle contraction at the back of the throat. This contraction will be accompanied with a sound. You might tune into that sound as another tool to focus on the breath, to focus your awareness in the present moment and in the body. Follow the course of 3 more breaths using the Ujjayi Pranayama technique. Upon completion of those 3 rounds of breath, open your eyes. Okay, I'm going to introduce the breath, the bellows breath, and we're going to practice this now, and then we'll utilize it later in our exploration of boat pose. So if you have not done this before, you might just watch the first round. Otherwise, you can join me immediately. So bellows breath, you can think about those bellows that you may have only seen or you may have used. It's a wedge, and you push air out through a hole, through a funnel, and it presses out a sharp burst of air, fueling a fire, giving a fire oxygen. So the exhale acts as that pushing out of the bellows. So drawing the belly button in strongly, sharply towards the spine, so a sharp exhale of breath exits the nostrils. So the inhale is almost automatic. The inhale comes back in on the tail of that sharp exhalation. So I like to bring a hand to my belly to feel the contraction of the abdominal muscles. So here's what it looks like and sounds like. Okay, so that was the demonstration. If you join me, great. We will do it again together. And let's try 20 exhalations. So that it really won't take very long. Okay, and inhale through the nostrils and begin. Okay, we will now chant 3 ohms. Please bring your palms together in front of your heart. You might close your eyes again. Exhale the breath completely. and inhale for the first of 3 ohms. Bow your head to your heart, release your palms to your thighs, then slowly lift your head as you open your eyes. We're going to remain seated for some twists. You might switch the cross of your legs, bring the opposite ankle on top, resettling through the hips, bring the left hand behind, right hand crosses to the left thigh. Inhale, grow tall along the spine. Exhale and begin to revolve. Shifting from the abdomen, from right to left, then across the ribs, middle back, chest, upper back, shoulders, neck, and eventually the gaze might move towards the back wall. Or depending on your range of motion this morning, you might even start to look back over the left shoulder. Now, once you have created the general shape of the posture, starts to infuse the pose with breath. Recognize the possibilities of an inhalation, how the pose changes with the exhalation. Let's inhale to come back through center, and we'll go to the second side. Right hand behind, left hand crosses to the right thigh. Inhale, growing tall, and exhale, beginning to revolve. Keeping that central channel moving up and down so the head generally stays over the space of the heart, the space of the heart lying generally over the center of the pelvis. So like a spiral staircase, moving from the floor to the ceiling, from the hips to the head, shifting around that central channel. Again, opportunity to check in with where tension might be expressed in the face. May the face reveal something that you were unaware of. And inhale to come back through center, counter twist as we come, before coming forward into a tabletop position. If you have blocks, you might set them at the top of your mat. And then from our tabletop, moving into the cat and cow shapes. Inhale, belly and chest down, tailbone and gaze lift into cow. And exhale to round the spine. Chin to chest, tailbone towards the floor, belly button towards the ceiling. Push the earth away, dome the upper back, chin to the chest. Cat pose and back to cow. Moving with the pace of your own breath. Uniting or binding breath and movement. So consider who's leading, breath or movement. So are you quickening your breath to accommodate the pace with which you want to move this morning, or is the already set pace of your breath guiding the body through these shapes? Now that we have started to get acquainted with the spine, recognizing where sensation is most acute this morning, you might start to make modifications to these movements. Maybe you're pausing in one pose for a couple breaths. Maybe you're bending the elbows down to target the shoulders. Maybe you're making elliptical movements with your hips. And eventually work back to a neutral spine. Take the knees a little bit wider apart, and we're going to thread the left hand between the knees, reaching back for the right calf, ankle, or heel. I did this the other day, and I really liked having a blanket underneath my knees for this. So if you'd like to take a moment to get a blanket, place it underneath your knees before, again, grabbing the right leg with the left hand. Left side of the head down, back of the left shoulder grounds. Gentle pressure of the knees into the blanket or the mat, maybe shifting the hips to the left as the left shoulder shifts to the right, right shoulder shifts to the left. You might take the gaze up beyond the right armpit and engage with breath. I often use this analogy of filling the sponge with water as you inhale, and then wringing out the sponge as you exhale. And that might mean pulling the belly button strongly in towards the spine, promoting this circulation of prana and blood flow through the internal organs. Okay, let's come back to table and second side. Right arm threads between the knees, reaching back for right calf, ankle, or heel. Right side of the head, back the right shoulder on the mat. And then check in with this initial shape. Is this offering enough sensation for your curiosity, for your sponsorship of growth? If not, you might push the knees down, shift the hips towards the right with a little or a lot of intensity. Left hand down, left shoulder towards the right, right shoulder towards the left. Gaze might go up beyond the left armpit. Engage with breath. Inhale, fill the sponge, soak the sponge. Exhale, wring it out. Come back to the table, and you might keep the padding there, come to think of it. If you would like to move the blocks onto your mat, if they're up there, you can place the hands on the blocks as you bring the left foot between the hands into a lunge with the back knee grounded. Decide whether you want to point the back toes or tuck the back toes under, and we're just going to let the hips sink forward or melt for a moment. Get a sense of weightiness, of release in the hips, feeling the pull of the earth, drawing the weight of the lower body downward. And in contrast, lift the chest, broaden the collarbones, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Now we're going to shift the hips back. You might slide the left heel forward an inch or two if that feels appropriate. Left toes towards the ceiling, and then we're going to round the spine. Chin to chest, forehead towards or to the knee. Listening to the back body, the back of the left leg. Lengthening through the left heel, pulling back through the left toes. Maybe thinking about the left knee and engaging the muscles in and around the left knee joint so the kneecap pulls in and draws up. And now we'll do some flow. Inhale, hips move forward, chest lifts up, maybe even gaze curls up. And then exhale to move the hips back. Again, uniting or binding breath and movement, and consider which might be taking the lead. I know myself, like sometimes when I hear a question like that in the practice, I'm trying to figure out the right answer. I'm not intending that as a question with the right answer. Okay, inhale, come back to the low lunge. And we're going to pull the legs together a bit. So instead of just letting the hips melt forward, we're going to bring a bit of tone to the legs by drawing the left foot isometrically back and the right knee isometrically forward. Now hands to the front thigh, interlace the fingers, prop up the chest. And you might experiment now with expanding through the knees, contracting, expanding. So again, find a balance there between expansion and contraction. So is it more release, more hips moving down and forward, or is it more pulling in to draw up through the legs? Arms at the sides, shoulders roll back, palms turn forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. And if you'd like, tilt the head back and look up. Notice expression in the face. What's your face telling you? Might be useful information, helping us connect more with our feelings, how we express emotion unknowingly, inadvertently. Feel the lower body rooting down, and from that root, from that support, growing tall. Reaching up, expanding the upper body. And then look down, hands frame the front foot, back to the table, and then right foot forward. Again, hands can be on the block or the floor, and we're going to let the hips sink forward. So feel that sense of meltiness, the earth drawing the weight of the pelvis downward, and then rising up from that, chest broad, crown of the head lifted. Hips shift back. You might scooch the heel forward as you fold over the right leg. Right heel reaches, right toes pull back. Noticing the back of the body, spine round, chin to chest, forehead towards or to the knee. And then again, Janu Bandha, knee lock, kneecap draws in and draws up. Okay, flow a little bit here. Inhale forward. Exhale to move you back. Okay, coming back to the lunge. Get a little bit of melt, but then engage the legs. Right heel isometrically draws back, left knee isometrically draws forward, back toe can be pointed or tucked. Hands to the front thigh, interlace the fingers, prop up the chest. And then find the what feels like a good balance between expansion and contraction in the legs. So how much are you letting the hips release forward? How much are you pulling the left knee forward, pulling the right heel back to keep the pelvic floor drawing up, that sense of pulling up from the earth. Arms at the side, shoulders roll back, chest opens forward. Inhale, arms sweep up, maybe gaze goes up. Root to rise. to the blocks and place the blocks out to the side. Press back into downward facing dog, and you might remove the blanket from your mat at this time. Get acquainted with your dog. Give it a little walk. Say hello. What do you notice? As you walk the dog, straightening one leg, reaching the opposite hip, up and out, heel down. Notice if there is one leg that could use a little bit more attention. Just calling out a little louder and say, hey, look at me. Hey, looky here. And then eventually find some stillness with your dog, keeping any amount of bend in the knees as you push your hands down and forward, reach your hips up and back, lengthening along the spine. We're going to do our first set of 5 push-ups. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, possibly coming down to the knees as you lower. Inhale, pushing back up, also possibly staying on the knees. Exhale, hips move back into child's pose or down dog. That's 1. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 2. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 3. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 4. Last one, first set. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, and exhale, hips shift up and back, downward facing dog. Right foot might inch towards the center as you lift the left leg straight up and back, 3-legged dog. Look to the top of the mat and exhale to bring the foot between the hands. Set up with your low lunge, back knee lifted, scissoring the legs in, squaring the hips and chest forward, hands to hips, elbows to the ceiling, shoulder blades on the back. Inhale, come on up. Sweep the arms overhead, and exhale, keeping the legs as they are, open the chest towards the left wall, arms down to the height of the shoulders. Inhale, square front. Exhale, open left, 2. Inhale, center. Exhale, open left, 3. Inhale, center. Exhale, open left, 4. Inhale, center. And exhale, open left, 5, and hold. Either stay with the arms like this or wrap the left hand to the outside of the right thigh and sweep the right arm overhead, getting this lateral extension along the right side. Maybe even looking up beyond the right arm to the ceiling. Keep the lunge in the legs. Notice the face. And then hands frame the front foot, step back, downward facing dog, walk it out, hips side to side. And we'll do the second side, left foot towards center, right leg lifts, 3-legged dog. Look to the top of the mat, and exhale to lunge. Hands frame the front foot, set up your stride, tone the legs, hands to hips, elbows to the ceiling, draw back through the sides of the waistline. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open right. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open right. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open right, 3. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open right, 4. Inhale, arms up. Last time, exhale, open right, 5. Maybe right hand comes to the outside of the left thigh, left arm along the left ear, lean back. Keep the lunge, legs strong, gaze up. Notice the face. Option to let go of tension there. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands frame the front foot. Step back, down dog. Walk it out if you like. And time for our second set of 5 push-ups. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale lower, possibly coming to the knees. Inhale, draw back up. Exhale, hips lead you back, 1. Inhale forward, exhale lower. Inhale, press, exhale back, 2. Inhale forward, exhale lower. Inhale, press, exhale back, 3. Inhale forward, exhale lower.
Inhale, press. Exhale, back 4. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower and hold for 5. Lift through the inner thighs, reach through the heels, shoulder blades on the back. 3, 2, 1. Lower to the floor. Arms at your sides. Lift the legs one at a time, point the toes back, and then interlace the fingers behind the back. What thumb is in front? Take note. Push the feet down, engage the legs, Janu Bandha, both knees. Lengthen back through the tailbone. Hug the shoulder blades together behind the heart. Inhale to peel the chin and chest up away from the floor as you reach back through the toes, reach back through the knuckles. Engage the upper back. Use the strength of the back body to lift and open the front body. Side to neck back, crown of the head lifts. Again, what's your body telling you? What's your expression telling you? What's your face saying about how you feel? Exhale, lower down, right cheek to the floor. Arms by your sides, big toes touch, heels wide apart. Head heavy, neck soft, arms heavy, upper back broad. Arrive in this moment. You might come back to an observation of the breath. Okay, from here, chin to the floor, bend the knees and flex the feet. Reach for the outside of the ankles, both ankles if possible. If not, just grab your left ankle and scoot your whole body over towards the right side of the mat. Tone the ankles and knees in towards one another so that they're about hip width distance apart, and then slowly roll onto your left shoulder, your left side. So this isn't, I'm approaching this as kind of a supported position. So there doesn't, I would advise backing off of any strong engagement of the legs here. So I'm not really pushing into my bow pose here. I'm just kind of using the shape to lean onto the left side and get some awareness of the left shoulder. Particularly maybe in the front of the shoulder, maybe even in the upper intercostal muscles on the left side. And something else might be coming up for you. If it's an issue with the knees in this shape, you can release the right foot, you can release the right ankle. You could even release the left ankle. So mainly targeting the left shoulder, the opening of the shoulder, moving into the back, moving to the back side of the body. Okay, roll back onto the stomach. Scoot your whole body over towards the left side of the mat. And then grab the right ankle and possibly the left ankle. Tone the ankles and knees in hip width distance. And then roll onto the right side. Please use additional padding under the right shoulder if this is painful or unsustainable. Return to breath. Again, coming back to this idea of sponsoring growth and the idea that how we grow and where we grow is not something that we can necessarily predict. So growth might mean staying with a sensation that is big, that is uncomfortable. Growth might also mean recognizing that this shape is not serving you at this time. This might be a good time to take a break. So growth can be both things. Okay, come back to the belly. Chin on the floor, point the toes, tone the legs in, interlace the fingers with the opposite thumb in front. Remember from before, elbows lifted, shoulder blades on the back, legs toned. Inhale, curl up. Squeeze the legs, point the toes, expand the heart forward, lift the front body away from the floor as you engage the back body. Again, what's your face telling you about how you're feeling right now? Soften the edges of the mouth upward if possible for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower. Left cheek to the floor, heads of the arm bones forward, arms heavy at your sides, big toes touch, heels widen apart. Head heavy, neck soft, arms heavy, upper back broad. Awareness comes back to the breath. Chin to the floor, tuck the toes, engage the legs, lift the kneecaps, lengthen back through the tailbone. Hands frame the ribs. Exhale, push up into plank position. Inhale and plank. Exhale, hips move you back, downward facing dog. Again, get acquainted with your dog. Give it a little walk, wag that tail. And we have one more set of 5 push-ups. Inhale, forward to plank, possibly coming to the knees. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, push. Exhale, back 1. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. Exhale, back 2. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. Exhale, back 3. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. Exhale, back 4. And last one. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower with control. Inhale, push up. And exhale. Hips move you back into one more downward facing dog. Hands push down and forward. Hips reach up and back. Release the weight of the head. And then looking back at your feet, start to take small steps to the top of your mat. With each step, the hips can kind of sway side to side, becoming aware of the backs of the legs, the outer hips with each movement. Eventually, walking all the way to the top of the mat in a forward folded position with the feet hip width distance apart. You can have the hands on a block or blocks or on the floor in front of you. And we'll take a ragdoll or waterfall shape, bending the knees, releasing the upper body forward. Take hold of wrists, forearms, or biceps. And then make some movements to sponsor growth, sponsor release of the upper body. So let the legs and hips allow the upper body to surrender forward. Swaying the arms, shifting weight in the feet, front to back, side to side, maybe shaking the head yes and no. Listening to the back body. Fingertips to the floor in front of you or to blocks. Push the feet down, lift the hips up, gaining length along the back body as you extend the crown of the head actively towards the floor. And inhale, fingertips to the shins, lift halfway, shoulder blades on the back. Exhale and fold deeply in. 2 more. Inhale to rise. Exhale to flow forward. 1 more. Inhale, rise up.
And exhale, fold in. Arms sweep out, up, and overhead as you rise to stand. Reach up, look up, palms touch, and then hands through heart center, arms to your sides. Roll the shoulders back. Reorient in this standing position. Palms open forward, collarbones broad. Feel the connection of your body with the earth. Embody your mountain shape. Take the hands, interlace the fingers, press the palms and wrists forward, plug the arms into the shoulder sockets, and sweep the arms overhead. Become aware of your abdominal region. Draw your upper abdominal in and back, so lower ribs knit together and draw towards the back body as the front of the pelvic crest lift and the tailbone lengthens down. With all of that, push the feet into the floor and push your palms, your wrist into the sky. Chin parallels to the floor, crown of the head lifting. Root to rise. Push the feet down, extend the wrists up. Release the arms to your sides, and we'll do a little tree pose. Stand on the right foot. Turn the left knee and toes out. Place the left foot to the inside of the calf or thigh. Or you can take lotus leg if that's what you're feeling this morning. Extend through the left inner thigh, contract through the left outer hip, lengthen down through the tailbone, lift through the pelvic crest. You might start with hands at heart center, finding your focal point, soft gaze. Soft gaze on something that is still. Bring that stillness inward. Choose to stay here or grow the branches of your tree, Vrikshasana. And then experiment a little bit. So this idea of tree is kind of with my intention for teaching today. This coming back to the idea of the support of the earth, this grounding, this binding with something, and then moving or expanding from that connection. From that weight, from that heaviness, from that grounding, the ability to lift up, to expand, to lighten. So in your tree, we're cultivating strength and suppleness. So maybe bring some movement to your tree. Maybe your branches sway from side to side. Arms go back. Okay, arms down, foot down, and we'll do the second side. Root down through the left foot, lengthen down, and then extend the right knee, right toes out to the right, foot to the inside of the calf or thigh. Pressure of the foot into the leg, leg into the foot. Find that stability at your center, your trunk. Hands to heart space. Maybe find that soft gaze. Invite the stillness that you observe into your body. Arms or branches might grow. Root to rise. What if something were to happen? What if a storm were to come? Be Um, be adaptable, strong and supple. Arms down, foot down. A little imaginary hula hooping. Soften ankles and knees. Ellipses with the hipses. I just made that up. Isn't that will be my new tagline for my for my hula hooping class that I'm gonna start. Okay, other direction. Ellipses are like dot 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 though, right? Okay, enough of that. So we are going to make our way down onto the floor at this point. I'm going to set up against some wall space, and we'll get to the wall space in a few poses from now. So if you'd like to align the short end of your mat up with some wall space, you might do so now, and get those blocks handy if you have them. Okay, what's going on? Lie on your back. Take your arms out to a T. Walk your feet as wide as the mat. And then as you exhale next, let the knees fall to the left. Inhale, knees center. Exhale, knees fall to the right. So again, a synchronization of breath and movement. Who's leading this dance? Breath or movement? Again, no right answers here. No right answers. Usually say no wrong answers. It's a funny thought. Okay, keep moving. You might pause on one side or the other. Okay, back to center. Take the legs out. Take the arms overhead. Reach to the sky. And then as you exhale, peel the head and shoulders up away from the floor. Point your fingertips towards your toes. Squeeze your legs in, and then lift your heels about a foot from the floor. Collarbones broad, tailbone tucked towards the heel. And remember your bellows breath. If you like, engage it now. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower the heels, head and shoulders back down. Okay. Reconnect with your slow, deep breath. Feel the earth supported beneath you. Can you trust that support? Can you cultivate a surrender, a sense of release in the physical being? Okay, feet together, reach through the heels, arms up, exhale, peel head and shoulders, heels and bellows breath. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heels down, head, shoulders, arms down. Again, brief savasana. Reconnect with breath. Arrive in this moment. Feel the reverberations of your practice thus far. Okay,
Draw the knees in towards the chest. Keep the inner feet together and widen the knees apart. Take your arms towards the ceiling as though you're putting handprints on the sky. And then peel the head, neck, and shoulders away from the floor. Tilt the tailbone towards the heels. And round the back body so that less of your back body is on the floor. Hug knees in and up towards the armpits, outside of the arms. Reach up, push up. Belly button in, tailbone tucked for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Guess what that was? Guess what that little wacky little bug on its back pose was? That was crow pose, just flipped upside down. So we're going to do a quick crow pose, and let's do a little rocking and rolling to get up there. Knees into the chest, and gain some momentum as you round the spine. Give yourself a little back massage. Make sure that you don't crash into that wall as you come forward onto your feet. We'll start in a little squat. Again, if you have a block handy, bring it close. Take your heels as wide as your hips. Turn your toes out at about a 45-degree angle, and then sit down. Squat down. If the heels are not grounded as you move into your squat, then get some height underneath your heels. So if we're training the heels to way down here, it's going to be hard to do that if the heels are not bearing any weight, if the heels are not feeling the resistance of some grounding beneath them. So you might bring some height underneath your heels in the form of a blanket or a pillow. Okay, so heels ground, arms come to the insides of the thighs, widen out through the elbows, broaden across the collarbones, and gently hug the knees into the arms, lengthening the tailbone down. Now from this squat, we are going to move into our crow pose. Okay, just got mesmerized by the outside world. Okay, feet onto your perch, inner feet together, heels together, base of the big toes together, bend the knees outward as you sink the hips towards the heels. Keep the hips low, look forward, reach forward, lengthen the spine. Lengthen and then round the spine, release the head, reach through the fingertips. Keep the hips low, tailbone tucked. Slide the hands back below the shoulders. Squeeze the legs towards the armpits, towards the outer arms. Gaze goes forward in the direction that you're going to shift your weight. So look forward, shift forward. Feet inch off of the perch if you're using the perch. The perch is helpful because it gets your legs a little higher. Size the waistline back, hug the knees in, round the spine. Push down like you were pushing towards the ceiling when we were on our back. When you're ready, come on back down. Gracefully. Okay. Lie down again. Arms out. Feet as wide as the mat. Knees side to side. Breath and movement. Breath informing movement. Movement informing breath. Okay, let the knees fall to the left. You might bring the left ankle to the outside of the right thigh. Right arm up along the right ear, using the left hand to draw the right wrist, the right side body long as the right inner thigh melts towards the floor. Infuse the pose with breath. So the way that this sequence is panning out today is there's Peaks and valleys. There's exertion of energy, and then there's releasing and restoring. So this is another little visit to the restoration. And part of the benefit and the challenge of the asana practice is that we transition between effort and release pretty rapidly sometimes. And the body is transitioning. Are we also transitioning? The breath, are we also able to be present through those transitions? So are we doing the restorative poses with as much awareness, within us, as much presence of mind as we are doing those strongly engaged poses? Okay, come back through center and we'll do the second side. So I've heard the hips shift to the right before knees fall right. I've heard hips shift to the left before knees fall right. So experiment with what feels most supportive and least injurious for the low back. So if you feel the low back is tweaky here, like there's a pinching sensation, then maybe shift the hips to the opposite direction. Okay, grab the left wrist with the right hand. If you want that added extension of the left side body. Return to breath. Okay, release, re-square the hips, knees back to center. Take a block if you have one between your thighs. Setting up for bridge pose, feet are hip width distance apart. Push the block between your thighs. So as the hips come up, instead of imagining the inner thighs pushing the block up towards the ceiling, as the hips go up, try to think about moving the block downward with the inner thighs. So as you push the block, that's the sensation or the movement direction, the directional movement you want happening. You might attempt to achieve with the thighs. Okay, arms at the sides. Push the feet down, lift the hips up. Start to build the bridge. Is this the bridge you want to build today? If so, observe this bridge. Journey across this bridge. If you would like, interlace the fingers behind the back, tuck the shoulder blades underneath the chest so that the vertebrae of the upper back begin to lift away from the floor. Push down with the arms, ground with the shoulders. You might begin to tilt the chin towards the chest, lengthening the back of the neck and looking down the front of the body. Slowly lower the hips down, untuck the shoulders, remove the block, walk the knees apart. The knees may fall towards one another together. You may place hands on the body, maybe one on the belly, one on the chest. Feel the breath move through the body. And just like the expression on the face, this gathering information of how the body is expressing movement, how the body specifically in this case is expressing breath, might give you some insight that you were not aware of. Maybe you're not feeling the chest expand. Maybe you're not feeling the abdomen fall with the breath.
Okay, we'll do another bridge pose in the manner that we've done just a moment ago, or ditch the block, or do a bound bridge, or float up into a wheel pose. Inner thighs move downward as hips lift. If you can remember the interlace of your fingers the first time, attempt the opposite interlace on this second go round. Tuck the shoulders or bind, or come up into wheel. Chin towards the chest, look down the front line of your bridge. Slowly lower the hips down, unlace the fingers, untuck the shoulders. Feet walk apart, knees fall towards one another. Hands back to the body, eyes open or gaze soft at the ceiling. Okay, we're going to do our shoulder stand exploration, and again with the idea of sponsoring growth in the practice. Consider what your intention is for shoulder stand today. Do you want to try something different, or do you want to cultivate strength and stability, flexibility in a form of this shape that you're familiar with? So last week I introduced these two methods of coming up into the pose: the supported method on blankets, and the method that doesn't use blankets. So I've heard feedback from people who like different things. Some people like it supported, some people don't. I'm going to demonstrate the supported method. So I've stacked up a couple of blankets. It could be one blanket, it could be 2 or 3 blankets. I'm gonna lie back with my head on the floor, shoulders on the blanket, arms at my sides. Maybe use a little momentum to swing my legs over my head as I push my arms down. I like to interlace my fingers to tuck my shoulder blades under my back, just as I did in the bridge pose. So similar connection with the upper body and the floor as in bridge pose. So the shoulder blades are tucking together so that the vertebrae of the upper back are away from the floor. And you'll see me, I'm in this halasana or plow pose, a preparatory shape for shoulder stand, or transitional pose for shoulder stand, and also a very strong pose in and of itself. So you can choose to stay here, bringing the hands up the back body, fingertips pointing up towards the hips, thumbs outside, pinky fingers in towards the spine, or you might start to use the wall to walk your feet up and extend the legs skyward. So this is another one similar to bridge pose where you are looking at your body. So you might see some ways that this pose is being expressed in your body that that might be helpful information. So if one hip is further towards the wall than the other, or higher from the ground than the other, how might you begin to consider adjusting to create more balance between left and right sides, between front and back? I experimented this with either pointing the toes or flexing the heels. Engage the legs, push the thigh bones back as the pelvis comes forward, tailbone lengthens up. Front of the pelvic crest, draw up towards the face, down towards the earth.
We're not going to hold here as long as we did yesterday, but if you want to take some variations on this, you can start to explore this the same way we did tree pose, where there's this strength of flexibility and there's an allowance for adaptability once that strength and stability are established. So like the strength and stability, kind of growing the foundations of the pose on which we can then build some creative shapes. Okay, feet to the wall when you're ready. Pause in halasana, or even come to the deaf person pose by bringing the knees to the ears. And you might not be able to hear me if you've done that, because the legs really buffer the sound. So arms can be back in that position, or arms can be by the head. Eventually unroll carefully. Legs down. And then if you have the blankets, if you're on the blankets, scooch the hips up onto the blankets and let the shoulders and arms be off the blankets. Legs can extend straight, or knees can be bent, feet on the floor, elbows down, fingertips spread, palms face one another. Push the elbows down, lift the chest up, curl open the upper back, crown of the head coming towards or to the floor, opening up the throat, countering the chin lock or the chin to the chest shape of shoulder stand and bridge pose. This is fish. Lower the chest, lengthen the neck. And then if you're on the blankets, get off the blankets. Okay, I'm looking at the time. We're already at 11:15, but we are beginning our initial descent. Knees in towards the chest, give them a little squeeze, and then widen them out towards the armpits. Take hold of the outside edges of the feet and rock side to side in happy baby. Bring the inner feet together, interlace the fingers around the outer edges of the feet, and come to a reclined bound angle pose. So knees expand out to either side of the room, butterflying open the thighs, lower back lengthens, head stays grounded as the pressure of the feet into the hands pulls the arms taut, possibly even curls the shoulders away from the floor, or heads of the arm bones up away from the mat. And now, draw the knees in, wrap your arms around the fronts of the legs. Give yourself an embrace. Chin to chest, forehead towards or to the knees. Squeeze the legs in, tuck the tailbone, less of the back body on the floor as you draw in. Slowly release the body. Create a comfortable space, a comfortable shape in which to surrender. So, get those creature comfort items. Maybe it's a blanket, maybe it's a pair of socks, maybe it's a blankie. Maybe the legs go up the wall, maybe the feet come together and the knees splay apart. Take a little bit of time here. Show yourself that you care. Show your body that you appreciate all of the effort by setting up some support here. So I find that if I actually take the time to do the things that make me more comfortable, I am much more likely to stay in savasana and have a more pleasurable, preferable experience. So do those things for yourself. Approach this pose and this body with compassion. Lengthen out through the arms and legs. Sponsor length along the back of the neck. Scan the body. Notice tension. Note unconscious expression in the physical body, in the face. Again, consider the vessel of this body as holding an energy, holding emotional intelligence. That through the practice of these asanas, through the movement of our bodies through these different shapes, we may shine light on some of those hidden experiences. Is it possible for these few moments at the end of practice to take a step away from this inhabitation of the body, inhabitation of the mind? I often think of the term, take a scenic vista. Turn off the highway and look out at the scenic vista of your physical being. Relaxedly take a deep, conscious breath in through the nostrils and a slow, deep sigh out through the mouth. Reawaken the wrists and ankles, arms and legs. Bend the knees, left arm along the left ear before rolling onto the left side. Push your way up to seated. Eyes remaining closed. Cultivate a connection with the earth, and then from that rooted seat, once again, grow tall. Bring hands together or onto the heart space. Feel breath. Can you feel the beat of your own heart? We will chant Om one single time to close the practice. Exhale and inhale for Om. Thank you for your presence, your dedication to promoting growth in yourself and in the world around you. The light in me recognizes and bows to the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you again. Let me know who you are, who's watching. Matt, I'm guessing you're out there, so good morning. Hope this was a good start to your day. Who else is out there watching today? Anybody? Athens has art again this morning on a streak of being in these live classes. It's great to see you. Great to see that you're here. And thanks for being in touch. If there's anything you would like to practice, whether it be a theme or a pose or an area of the body, I would love to hear. I would love to hear what you want, what would feel good for you these days. So please reach out to me either via text, phone call if you know my number, or please get in touch via the Athens Public Gmail address that should be clear on the website. So yes, I will be here again tomorrow for a variation of this sequence. It will be at 5:30 Eastern Time. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to hear from you soon. Mwah.